Thank you, Mr. Chair, Administrator McCarthy. Nice to meet you here. I look forward to working with you, meeting with you and your staff in a respectful fashion. As you can imagine, in Alaska we have a lot of concerns. We love our environment, most pristine environment in the world.
Yes.
We're really good at taking care of it. The state is, our people are. But Alaska is also home to 63% of the nation's waters subject to Clean Water Act jurisdiction and 65% of the nation's wetlands. So as you can imagine, this is a very big deal for the people I represent, many of whom oppose this rule. The Resource Development Council in Alaska believes, looking at this rule, that it could expand that already incredible jurisdiction in Alaska by a third. So I just want to ask a few important questions to start out with. As you know, Ms. McCarthy, the EPA is a creation of Congress, and all regulations promulgated by the EPA must have a substantial basis in the law. Do you agree with that?
Yes, the regulation should reflect what's in the law, yes.
So one request I had kind of going forward is a commitment out of respect for this committee and the members of Congress from you and your staff that any action, any regulations going forward, that every time you are testifying that you or your staff specifically point out the specific provisions of the law that you are acting under, whether it's action or regulation. Will the EPA commit to doing that in the future?
I'm sorry, Senator, I don't exactly know what you're asking me to commit to, but certainly
a regulation like this,
yes,
when we start out,
yes,
come to the committee of Congress that has jurisdiction and say, here's the exact provision in the statute that gives us the power to promulgate this reg.
we make it clear when we propose a rule what the actual rule language is and how it changes, and we certainly discuss what the law says and our interpretation of the law and how the regulations are consistent.
Great. So let me get to a little bit of the specifics on this regulation. So just in terms of chronology, how I understand it, the Clean Water Act defines waters of the U.S. Several Supreme Court cases, Riverside, Rapanos, defined it, further limited it. In May 2009, the EPA came to Congress, urged Congress to expand the jurisdiction of the Clean Water Act to the furthest extent possible. And from my perspective, that's so far so good. When you want to expand the jurisdiction of the EPA, you have to do it through the Congress, not through regulations. Congress didn't do this, and in the meantime, the EPA was sued by several states on a Clean Air Act regulation, and the Supreme Court reprimanded the EPA for what it viewed as a significant federal overreach in terms of separation of powers in the Utility Air Regulatory Group versus the EPA. Did you have an opportunity to read that case, the Supreme Court case?
Yes, I did.
So there was a provision in that Supreme Court case where the justices said the EPA's interpretation is also unreasonable because it would bring about an enormous and transformative expansion in EPA's regulatory authority without clear congressional authorization. When an agency claims to discover a long extant statute and unheralded power to regulate a significant portion of the American economy, we typically greet its announcement with a measure of skepticism. We expect Congress to speak clearly if it wishes to assign an agency decisions of that vast economic and political significance. I'm quoting that because I think that's exactly what's happening here. A significant expansion of EPA jurisdiction over the U.S. economy, over certainly my state, and I don't think that the Congress has authorized that authority to the EPA. So I'll just be a little bit frank. I don't even think this is a close call. I don't think the EPA has the power to issue this regulation under the Constitution and the statute. I think you're trying to change the statute, and that clearly is a power that belongs to the Congress. So I want to work with you on this, but I want to request that you withdraw this regulation, start over. There's 22 states that have made a similar request, and I think that that's an an important way that you show respect not only to the states but the Congress.
Senator, I very much respect Congress, as well as your opinions, and I will do my best to work with you. I would say that I don't think the agency is in any way seeking congressional action or otherwise to expand the jurisdiction of the Clean Water Act. What we're just trying to do here is to better define that in a way that everybody can be more sure of its implementation, and we can save everybody time and resources. And I know this is a big issue in your state, Senator, and I'm happy to sit down with you. I think we work very hard to align ourselves with a good government in Alaska, and we are trying to continue that partnership. And if there is anything that we can do to address your issues more specifically, I'd enjoy working with you on it.
Well, I look forward to working with you as well.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.